What is up, everyone? Sean here, and welcome to my movie review for the anime series slash manga, My Hero Academia. And their second movie has come out for the US for limited release. I think there were a good number of theaters that had this running for at least for the weekend anyway. I'm not sure how long they're gonna have this, but hopefully, you guys caught it during the period that it was out, and I think after this is literally me like coming out of the theater. I would like to have let it set in my head, but I think I'm gonna be pretty busy over the course of the next few days, so that's why I'm here right now, fresh from the theater, watching My Hero Academia, Heroes Rising, and here I am. So yes, this is the second film. It came out in Japan. I got the notes right here, December 20th, 2019. So technically, it's still a 2019 film. So. I could include it technically in the 2019 top movies list. But anyways, that's besides the point. My Hero Academia, Heroes Rising, what's my opinion about it without spoiling things? I'll spoil things later on in the later segments. So, my overall thoughts about My Hero Academia, Heroes Rising, I have mixed feelings about it, honestly. I kind of already I already recorded a short review on Twitter as I came out of the theater and then sat in my car and shot it and stuff. So of course my opinion hasn't really changed all that much, and I don't think it really will now that I think about it. But again, I would prefer to have this sit with me for a little bit and then do the review. But not with the current situation here right now. Anyways, I don't want to get myself in a loop here. Oh, before I forget. For those who aren't quite caught up with the manga or even the anime, I recommend not watching this in case I forget. There's some parts where you're going to kind of get lost. You're going to be like, what? Why do they look like this? Or why did this character do that? That sort of thing. There are some minor spoilers, but if you want to completely be fresh about it, I definitely would not recommend watching this movie, in my opinion. But so yeah, because it's like it takes elements from the manga that are still quite presented. I mean, then again, I haven't watched the anime as of late, but I know people who are not caught up with the series, and they might go see this. So it's like, no, don't do that. It's gonna spoil some things. I think so. Anyway, I have mixed feelings here, and there are several reasons why. Right, one of them right off the bat is the overall quality. It doesn't really feel like a movie. It really felt like this time around just like a long TV special to me. It looked like your typical TV episode, just longer for like 104 minutes or an hour and 44 minutes, I believe. So while yes, it does have a length of a typical movie, sure. It just didn't really feel like it, it definitely didn't look like it either. It was just the way it was animated. It just looked like a TV episode to me, which is not a bad thing. It's not. It didn't look terrible by any means. There's no technical weird sort of hiccups going on in the film itself. It just the overall product was just kind of it was short. It kind of felt short, to say the least. For me anyway. I really felt like if we're gonna really compare this to the first film, I know I have my opinion about the first film with its story, but I really felt like that one felt more like a movie than this one. Like, that's just my opinion about it. You can disagree with me, and that's completely fine. But that's just how I really feel. Initially, for the people that watched it before me, I liked their opinion on Twitter, and they were just like super pleased with it. They thought it was better than the first one. The animation was good, in their opinion. So I kind of felt that, and I went into this film with some expectations and hoped that the quality would have reflected that, as a movie, but it really didn't, and that's really unfortunate on that part. So in that sense, I am disappointed overall. By the end of it, there was a change of pace when it comes to the quality, the animation stuff, but if you really dig into this, like if you really want to anyway, you're gonna wind up feeling like this is just like a bunch of stuff thrown in your face while realizing that the quality isn't, like, the moments weren't as cool, in my opinion, as the first film. Like the final battle with All Might and Deku, like fighting together, like that whole sequence was just really cool. Like it was well animated, especially when they were like running and stuff. Like that was a really cool shot and all that. I really did not feel any of those moments, unfortunately, even with the big part of the final battle. I have questions for that too, and I was questioning it more than I was like, whoa, that's so cool. Like, there were moments where I felt that, I thought about that, like, okay, this is pretty cool, but overall, like, when I think about it, I'm like, should that have happened during the final battle? So I don't know. That's just how I feel when it comes to that. But I do like this time around they feature more characters this time, and maybe that's where like some of the budget kind of fell short for the quality. Like they wanted to include more heroes, so that's why I kind of shoved in. So it seemed like in this case this was like more of like a quantity over quality sort of case, while the first film, it included like a nice little small batch of heroes, and they did their part and all that stuff. But I cannot forget that final battle. It was really cool. It was really awesome. It like really ramped it up for me. Apart from the kind of that typical like anime movie story pacing sort of thing that I have a gripe about. But anyway, here again, like I never really felt that. Despite the characters being there, it was nice to see all those faces, all those students there, all the major ones anyway, and they did their part. I appreciated their screen time and stuff. That kind of gets a little jumbled around once the final battle begins, but it is what it is for a number of students. When it comes to the villain, not a whole lot for the villain. Honestly, like there's no backstory, there's nothing to kind of like feel empathetic or sympathetic towards the villain. I think you feel a little more sympathy towards one of the side villains or the supporting villains, the henchman anyway, especially with Chimera. Chimera seemed like he was the strongest one and he was the right hand man and everything. Based off of like his screen time and everything. So and also the fact that he actually got some sort of like backstory sort of thing, unlike the other two. Even one of them got like see ya sort of thing. Like, all right, you had your time later, that sort of thing. So that's unfortunate for the for that character, which I'll explain more in the spoiler section. But the pacing was a little more interesting, which is weird for me because, these movies, or if I can call it that, I don't know, like it was entertaining to say the least. There's just a lot of characters doing stuff. I was entertained on that part because it, began with the students on this island and they're pretty much performing like community service, right? And, they're kind of doing their assignments and they were answering the calls for help for anything like, oh, I lost this bag, or, oh, my child is lost. I need your help looking for my child. A lot of like minor sort of, tasks that they were given. And they're kind of just like the cleanup crew for the community, and, the community loves them for that. They gave back to them, which is nice. They're students, so it's natural. Those parts were interesting to say the least. it was funny. I like the comedic moments with the students, so which was nice. They they definitely gave them a good amount of screen time during that part of the movie. The music was good. I like the music for the final battle. Anyway, it definitely added up to the epic feeling, especially for the final part of the final battle. And of course, always the voice work was excellent. Deku, really nailed it. With the emotions and stuff like that. His voice actor, of course, it's such a unique voice. It's forgive me if I'm getting the name wrong, but I believe his name is Daiki Yamashita. Does a really good job, being unique, but at the same time, of course, being such a that's a good actor, with the voice, and I do really appreciate that. And of course, same can be said for everyone else who did their part. Fantastic. And oh yeah, and by the way, I did watch this in Japanese this time around, unlike the first film, which is odd because I'm a little biased against English dubbing, but that's only because I grew up with anime, with a lot of anime in Japanese, so that's just like that ingrained into my head. As someone who's Japanese and with a Japanese family, and so we watched everything in Japanese. So that's my story. Anyway, so it was nice to see this in Japanese with the English subtitles to kind of fill in the gaps for me, in case I didn't understand something. So that kind of stuff I do appreciate. Whenever they distribute anime stuff to American theaters or Western theaters. Very nice, and I hope they keep up with that as of late. Same thing with Weather Review, which I did watch several weeks back. But anyway, so hopefully this trend continues, which seems like it's picking up, so glad to see that, and I wanted to support that. Again, it was really nice to see all the characters. Their voice work was excellent. The pacing wasn't bad. It was not terrible. I wasn't bored at all. It was, it kept me, it kept my attention for the most part. I didn't feel bored by any means. So the pacing there was excellent, despite being, almost 2 hours, pretty close to 2 hours for an anime film. What else? The action sequences, even though I did as much as I, hark on the overall quality of things, which maybe I'll break it down a little more in the spoiler section or here, but the fights themselves were good. They were well thought out. I like that how they utilized the characters. They kind of felt they definitely utilized the characters really well. A lot of teamwork this time around, which was nice. Unlike the first film. So again, you really get to see these characters shine. They get to do their part for the most, and it was that. So that part was nice to me. I would give it extra points for that one. And they're fun to watch, to say the least. I guess the villain's powers was whatever, because I don't know. It just didn't really feel unique. It's more or less all for one type of deal. I'm not gonna go into it too much, but that's pretty much what it is. And I'm pretty sure they explained that in the trailer. So, but anyway, what else? Before I'm trying to not spoil things because I do want to talk about it in the spoiler section. But I think without spoiling things, that's pretty much it. But yeah, I guess the quality. I guess I'll say I'll explain that now before I go into the spoiler section. So the quality, if I haven't said already, it just felt short in comparison to the first film. The animation just didn't wow me as much as the fights themselves were good. The animation quality wasn't there. And I think it's just because they include more characters and stuff, so it was a little more difficult to, like kind of maintain that quality. Plus, the combination of crunch time and all that stuff, I'm sure. So maybe that's perhaps why that didn't happen, or didn't that quality didn't punch through. Yeah, so it's so in that department, again, I'm disappointed, unfortunately. But yeah, it's just so with that, I think overall, again, it didn't really feel like a movie. It just felt like a long TV episode or like a TV special because of the quality overall. It just it just wasn't there for me. So, but as much as I do hark on that part, really, I still think it's a fun time, a fun experience. This could go either way. You could catch it in theaters. Although, speaking of which, the theater I went to, which is my go-to theater usually, which is the AMC. The sound was like just really not. It wasn't really kicking it, like so I think that was on the theater's part, unfortunately, but it didn't have that oomph, the explosive like bass, like the quality wasn't there. I don't know if it's like the film itself, or they just didn't have time to make it give it that like movie experience sort of sound, because the first one definitely had that. It had the sound, the quality was there, especially by the final battle. Like, it had all the characteristics of a movie, besides the story. But anyway, I think, unfortunately, there's maybe some technical problems with that theater. I don't know. I'm not sure. Especially like me, after like watching so many movies with Dolby Digital or Dolby Cinema quality. Like, it really was kind of bothering me throughout my experience, especially from the beginning. Like, you expect to hear this boom, this oomph with these moments that you see, but it just didn't reflect through the sound. So I don't know if that's the movie itself. I don't know if that's the theater's technical problem, but that happened, unfortunately. So it's not gonna deduct the points by any means, but I definitely would like to point that out, since I'm in a theater. I put my time into putting my butt on that seat, getting that ticket, of course. So I want most of my theater experience. So I don't know if again, I don't know who to blame, but that's just something to point out, unfortunately. But anyway, again, the overall movie just didn't feel as cinematic or like a movie. It just kind of fell short, in my opinion, comparing to the first one. I did like the pacing. I did like the fact that they included more characters this time. It was nice to see them, and they were doing stuff too. It's not like they were just kind of like in the background sort of thing. They actually did stuff. They actually put their bodies on the line. They were willing to, die for, to save the people and stuff like that. So it was cool to see that. And what else? Yeah, it's just, if I were to directly compare it, it's still the first one that takes the cake for me, or takes a ticket. I don't know. So that's pretty much it. If I were to give it a score for Heroes Rising, it's going to be a solid 7 out of 10. It's still a good experience. You can go either way. Like I said, you can go watch this in the theater, or just wait for the for some website to stream it. So, because I don't know, maybe the sound, because it wasn't as good, it gives you an excuse to just wait. Honestly, I don't know. But anyway, it's a 7 out of 10. If you can watch it in theaters, I guess, yeah, you can definitely go watch it. If you're a fan of the My Hero Academia series, definitely go right ahead. It's a good popcorn experience still, despite me harking on the things I complained about in this video. And it's My Hero Academia. You can't go wrong with it. Still a fun time, and you'll have a good laugh. Even during the parts that are supposed to be serious, people were giggling, and in fact, there were a number of people were kind of just like, what? You know what I mean? They kind of questioning it. They weren't like, woo, or anything like that. They're just kind of quiet, and I heard more of what, or like kind of like those kind of sounds. And as I walked out of the theater, I overheard some conversations, and one of the groups said, we liked the first film better, just you know, based off of what happened here. So yeah. So this time around, I guess it felt a little short. I guess it got the sequel sort of curse, if you can call it that, because man, it just didn't feel like a movie. So anyway, before I go on, 7 out of 10. If you can catch it, go right ahead. If you're a fan of it, I think you'll still like it. Whether you like it better with the first film or this one, that's really up to you. But for me, the first one still takes the cake. Love that final battle for the first one. So, anyways, that's all I gotta say before I go into the spoiler section of things. And thank you guys so much. If you haven't seen already, please take off because I'm gonna go spoil the movie in this next segment. So, see you then. All right, welcome back to the now the spoiler section of My Hero Academia: Heroes Rising. And so, okay, there are very questionable things, especially during the final battle of things. But, anyways, definitely wanted to talk about some things before. I mean, I like the humorous moments, especially with Sato, the guy who eats sugar to get strong. He kind of has like that ultimate muscle main character sort of look, like Montaro or any other Kinnikuman characters, I guess you can say, with the big lips and that I don't know, that like that vibe they gave off. He had his moment where like he was like paddling the boat really fast because someone was like drowning, or the kid was like drowning or something like that, or having trouble in the water, and so like the Sato was paddling really hard. He had that face like really trying to get to the kid on as quick as he can. And then Tsuyu, of course, the frog girl, just gets to the kid right away, and brings him to the water, up to the surface. And then by the time Sato gets to him, or the kid, he was like super exhausted. He had that face like like he looked like a zombie, and then the kid was like like got scared and everything, and that was a pretty good moment. Those moments like that I did like, but the very first beginning opening sort of scene, oh my gosh, it was like so like Fast and Furious, or like Initial D, that sort of vibe. Like, it was at night, it was in the canyon, there were like some sports cars being driven. I'm like, what what is going on here? Our heroes are driving these realistic cars, like the Mustang and the Toyota 86, like the brand new one, of course. And I think one of them was even driving the Skyline. Like, what is going on, man? Like, you would think they would have these like specialized vehicles, but no, they're driving these like just these like realistic sports cars. Maybe they were sponsored by it, but I don't think so, because they didn't like flash the logo or anything like that. They had the body model and everything, but but yeah, anyway, I thought that was really funny. It just felt like, especially with the way it was cel shaded, or it had that CGI effect. It definitely looked like your Initial D sort of moment. It was really funny. They should have just like added the Eurobeat fucking music, and that would have been like funny. It would have been so funny. I would have, that moment or scene could have won me over. I don't know, but it was just weird. It was just so out of place for me. In my opinion, I just felt like they should have had like specialized vehicles, ready for combat and stuff like that. But no, it's just these random sports cars. Okay, anyway, so they're chasing this guy, and so they're chasing this armored vehicle, and had the League of Villains, some of them anyway. There was a lizard guy. There was Dabi. I believe I forget his name, but he has the power to like make the or to use like the balls to like shrink things or to store things, including people. So he was there, and I think there were a couple more, but anyway, they chased that vehicle down. Explosions happen. All those cool vehicles, the sports cars were exploding because they're not equipped. They're not, like they're not specialized for this kind of situation. So of course they're gonna blow up. They're gonna get wrecked. So I don't know. I thought that part was like just really funny in some of the wrong reasons. But anyway, you can kind of make fun of it. But anyway, so the chase was pretty much like unsuccessful because they got the package which is Nine, which is the main villain. And his power is like, okay, it's more or less like all All for One, excuse me, and where he can store 8 powers or 8 quirks and use 9 because it makes sense because he has his own quirk, I guess, and then plus the 8, so that's 9, I guess, right? So he can store 8, but once he tries to steal other people's powers, he has to delete 1 or something like that, I guess. So I maybe he can do that, or maybe it's like permanent or something. I'm not too sure because they didn't really like specify upon that, but they did mention it, but they didn't really specify whether he can just like delete or not. So I guess he can. I don't know. Maybe it's just so like it was such a like quick thing that I didn't really like catch it like right away. But anyway, so it turns out, after the chase was done, Endeavor was there. There was some cool explosion going on with Endeavor and Dobby's fire. They realized that they were just chasing no one, really. It was just like a double. There were clones made by Double, the guy who kind of like it's sort of he reminds me of Deadpool. He has like some personality disorder, and he can multiply himself. And he used his clones to help Nine and his henchmen kind of get away and stuff. So I guess they were working together for whatever reason, and so Nine and his gang were able to get away, I guess. I guess he at one point was in prison, and then they freed him because they're villains, right? And so they had a plan to make the clones, and the clones did their job to lure them away, and Nine and his gang were free, I guess, or at least just Nine was in prison, and I think his gang were waiting for him. Well, anyways, some of his henchmen were cool. I did like Mummy, which is he can control like objects with his bandages and stuff, and then he can also like control like the suit that people are wearing. I don't know why it has to be that specific. Like just say you can control people too, like to a certain degree. He said like he can't control living things, but he can control the suit that's on them or something. So it's like, okay. But anyway, he was kind of cool, but he was the one that got the short end of the stick when it comes to like screen time. So he was gone for the most part. But Slice was pretty cool. I liked her design. Her powers were, she can like use her hair to be like blades and stuff, and shoot them and stuff like that. So pretty cool. I mean, not the most original, but her design was pretty cool. I like her personality from what she was able to show us, and so yeah, I liked her character overall. Slice was pretty cool to me. Chimera was like kind of a mixed bag. He was just so ridiculous. Like he was just super overpowered in my opinion. had a lot of power, like strength alone, like raw strength, and I mean hence his name Chimera. So I guess all the mixture of like the animals like combined into one pool of raw power or strength. So that's why he's super strong, and he can like breathe fire and shoot beams later on, and he can do a lot of things, man, and he can endure a lot of things. So he's pretty much the right hand man, from what I saw. And and again, he even got like some backstory, and it's not the greatest, but he got that part no less. So to me, he seems like the right hand man. He even had like the cigar and everything. Like he tried to be cool and all that stuff, and he like lit his cigar with his fire breath. Like the way he did it was just like, well, wouldn't that burn the whole cigar? Wouldn't that taste like shit? I don't know. Anyway, it's a movie or whatever. It's an anime. So anyway, so overall, like again, I have mixed feelings about Chimera. I do like him at some parts, but a lot of him is just kind of ridiculous and just like, it's kind of, I don't know. It's like as if a kid designed his character or something with his powers, but the acting and stuff like that, the personality was, I guess written by more older person, I guess it seemed like, but I don't know. Anyway, mixed feelings for Chimera. So like I said, the students were doing their community service, and of course Bakugo is Bakugo. He didn't want to do it, stuff like that. He kind of felt like this was ridiculous or it was below him, so he didn't do anything or try not to do anything. But they forced him to do some patrolling, and he's just like, fuck it, all right, fine, get off my back, I'll do it. It's Bakugo, yeah. So he's very enjoyable. He's becoming like more of like my favorite character over time, and especially if you read the manga, he definitely like develops as a better person. And so, but anyway, so I at some point they show off the villain and what he can do. So I didn't even like realize this, but was able to get this ability because of All for One, I guess. So I had to read that up. I like it flew over my head so fast because it was just like, so the pacing there was a little. So I don't know. That's just, I guess that's my fault for having that whoosh over my head. So even so with that, like this makes 9 even less more unique, because again, like from the first film, All for One gave another villain his abilities and stuff. So it's like, what like, okay, I guess this is supposed to be a pattern in My Hero Academia, like, or the movies anyway. Like, All for One gave him an ability, and then the next villain, he gave him an ability. In fact, more than just one. He gave him the ability to steal. Like, what the fuck? Okay, all right. But anyway, so later on, there's the first big battle with 9 and his crew, like coming into the island, and they try to fuck shit up, and because 9 has some sort of disease or something where his cells are degenerating whenever he uses these powers, I guess. So I guess that's like the price of it or whatever, for being able to steal in the first place, right? He tried with one the movie character's father. He thought that he had the right regenerating ability, after doing research or stuff like that, but unfortunately it's not that great of a regenerating ability because it only works on people with type A, blood type A. I'm trying to say, sorry, I had a little brain fart there, but so it didn't work for him because he's not type A. So I guess like his son has the other half or something like that, like the other ability, maybe to like be able to regenerate all blood types or something like that. I don't know. Maybe he's like I guess he's like the universal donor sort of thing, and his father can only do type A people. By the way, I am also blood type A positive, so that's a little trivia for me or from me. Well, anywho, so yeah, so the pretty much the plot of or the plot of this story is just we gotta get this son so that my ability so that I can now be able to regenerate without so I wouldn't have to worry about using these abilities, because if I use these abilities, the cells in my body will degenerate or disintegrate. Therefore, my body will just fall apart or whatever. So that's why they wanted to go after Katsuma, which is the son, the key character here in this movie. Katsuma's sister or older sister also has a quirk, and she can make some illusions and stuff like that. Of course, it is useless to no end, but despite knowing that, she just pushes on, still protects her little brother, and she wants him to be the best and stuff like that. So I can respect that, and so I do have sympathy towards the kids who are the movie characters this time around. I kind of forgot to talk about them, but that kind of shows that they didn't really beyond that, they didn't really stick out to me a bit too much. Like, they were, one of them was the Katsuma was well mannered. He was very kind of shy, and yet never wants to forget his thank yous and stuff like that for anyone who helps him. And his older sister is just very bossy, typical sort of older sister sort of type towards their little brother. So again, it didn't really stick out to me a whole lot beyond their powers and all that stuff. So anyway, the first battle ends up sort of like a draw, but a strategic victory or tactical victory, because they were able to protect the people, and not many of them got hurt or anything like that. It wasn't severe of the sort. They had to evacuate, and for the most part, they did. So it's kind of a draw overall. The fights themselves were good. It's just that the quality, the animation wasn't quite there. Because the first movie left it at such a high pedestal. It was so good. And so just to see this happen is man, disappointing on that part. They got fucked up pretty bad though. Deku and Bakugo, they got fucked up pretty bad because of course he has a lot of powers and he was able to call down lightning and stuff like that as one of his own. So very kind of Storm-ish in that moment. Even before, I thought for some reason it was really funny the way they paced this whole scene out. But when he stole the father's powers, Nine stole the father's powers, or I guess Mr. Shimano. When he stole his powers, he immediately used the lightning, and I thought, oh, is the lightning his power? No, it was supposed to be the cell generating power, or cell activation. But again, it wasn't the right one, so that's why. Again, he's after Katsuma. But even then, this is a guess. They may have a variant of a power from Mr. Shimano. So it's not even they even confirmed it, But I guess from what Mr. Katsuma was able to show with his powers, which he pretty much is a big a good healer, I guess. If you were to be in the JRPG, he's a good healer, I guess. So, and I guess with that, we're supposed to assume that he has the cell activation powers. So therefore, yes, Nine would be right to go after Katsuma to steal his powers and therefore be able to regenerate his cells at that. So anyway, it's a fucking anime. I don't know why I'm trying to pick this whole thing apart, and I'm making myself a scrambled mess. But anyway, so After that first battle, they recuperate and stuff, and they have their little touchy moment with the speeches and stuff like that. And then um comes the final battle, and after they planned it out, they fight the villains once again. It was a pretty epic battle. Despite again the quality wasn't there, but the overall fight itself was still pretty epic. There you see these kids get bloody, man, and they don't mess around with the violence. Like they get like they get hurt, like blood drips down their head. You even see like drops of blood like at some point. It's not gory, of course, not overly violent, of course, but you get the message. They get hurt and you feel it. And so those parts, they did a good job on that. But it you can feel like the payoff of them beating the villains that they fight. Wasn't too sure how exactly like Slice was defeated, other than the rocks kind of falling down on her. Didn't really like show the final blow on her, you know what I'm saying? I know like her hair got messed up because Ashido's acid power or acid shot pretty much fucked up her hair. Like that was a bad matchup, like that was a terrible matchup for her because acid, man, like really fucked up her hair. But was still able to get her with her hair shots or whatever, her hair spines. And Ashido took a mean fall, and again with the whole blood on their head and stuff like that. These students take their hits, man, and man, they go through some shit in this movie. They get fucked up, but they come out on top, so that's fine. But when it comes to 9 versus Deku and Bakugo, yeah, like it does have all the pieces to almost together, but it's just that see, this is where it becomes questionable, right? Because like I guess I should say that like there's that fight with Chimera. There's this one part where yes, it almost seems like he was defeated, and then he got bigger and stuff like that. And even there's a part where like despite him getting bigger and shooting this big ass beam out of his mouth and continuing to do so for a long time, and during then they're like taking cover, they're coming up with a plan. Shoto came up with the idea to beat him again. Like these guys get fucked up, man. Like the what do you call it? The guy who turns he can turn himself into like armor and stuff like that. I forget his name, like starts with a K. Forgive me, but Red Riot, I'm just gonna call him Red Riot as a superhero name. He uses his other hardening ability, which is like super hardening or whatever, and that was cool. Like that was actually my first time seeing that from the manga and stuff, so that's really cool. He was the tank. He took all that hit, and he took the entire beam, and gave Shoto the chance to make his move. And of course Ida was distracting him, and not only that, he like was trying to hold his tail down, I think. And then Tsuyu or Froppy tried to get his hands like tied up and stuff like that with her tongue. He like swings him up, and then they just collided, and it's just oh god, the blood dripping down and everything. Oh gosh, I kind of felt that one. I was like ooh, that was quite painful. But they did their job. It wasn't in vain, because Shoto being cool, like literally no pun intended, I'm sorry, but him trying to be like different from his father, of course, Endeavor. Endeavor is hot, and Shoto is fucking cool because he shoved his ice powers down Chimera's throat and froze him from the inside out, and that's how you do it. That's how he got defeated. So it was pretty much like in hibernation or whatever. Like, I wish he had some sort of move name for it, like Absolute Zero or something. That would have been really sick. But I guess that is what it is. They beat him. At least they were able to beat him in a pretty like awesome way. So I'll give it that. But man, I really wish the quality was just there, but it wasn't. It quite wasn't. So now we have 9 and stuff like that. It was pretty much like 9 versus like the rest of the crew. Whatchamacall, Ochako like did her part, and then she was like almost throwing up and stuff like that. Like, you can definitely hear the struggle of her maintaining her state, and Sero like using his tape, of course. He was like, as much as like his powers aren't like that great, he makes great use of his powers. Like, that's why I do like this movie for that. For those moments, like he is pretty cool. He's kind of like almost like a Spider-Man sort of character, but obviously he's got the tape on his elbows, and he does work. Like, he throws the rocks down from Ochako's like gravity, like, I guess, bunch, you can say, of the rocks, and try to distract 9 and have him burn out essentially because of his body condition. And so Ochako and Sero do their part. They try anyway, and they retreat a little bit, and then they get to the big trap, which is just more rocks, and grape juice comes in with the grape shots or whatever. He just throws as many of his grape shots as much as he can, and tries to seal him up with all those rocks and stuff like that on top of him, and he's just like, oh. It was a pretty good moment. Again, more blood from top of the head, like, oh god, all the pain. But he did his part, but unfortunately that was in vain to keep him held down. But they tried, and I do like that they gave him at least that much screen time, and even like the people who are like reconning the whole situation, I forget his name, but he has like the 8 limbs, the sort of thing. He got fucked up too. Oh my god, poor guy. Like, he can't do anything because it's just a bad matchup for him for most of the part. But he still tried his best, man. I do like that. I feel the struggle, but his determination, man. He's just he fights back. Especially when he protects the kids, man. He uses his own body to protect the kids. He's like doing his mission, man. He does not care about whether he can like withstand against the boss himself, 9, or not. He does his work, man. What else? Oh yeah, there's Jiro, one of my favorite female characters, doing her part as well. And of course, Momo, making the cannons and stuff like that. Who else? Oh yeah, the I forget his name. The guy with the big belly laser. He was pretty cool too, surprisingly. Like, he does this big laser. He even shoots more lasers from his shoulders and stuff like that. He's a big turret, man, and he burns out, of course, unfortunately, but he still tries. That was like the first wave, I guess, to like split off the villains. But anyway, they come back to the scene. They try to fight 9, despite them being tired already, but they still fight. They get fucked up too, and then yeah, man, like more kids get fucked up, except for Sato and I forget the other guy's name. He's like the one with like the voice. He can talk to animals. Is like, he's like really friendly. He looks like a big rock essentially, but super friendly, big guy, that sort of thing. I forget his name, but he and Sato were the only ones that kind of didn't do anything, quote unquote, but they were protecting the people of the island. They were all in that mountain or the cave or whatever, so they were making sure that you don't get hurt or anything like that. But unfortunately, they don't like just come out and fight. At least Sato, anyway. He's the one with like the sugar rush and stuff like that. But back onto the whole 9 fight. Yeah, he fucks up everyone. There was this one part where of course, Deku and Bakugo struggle and they lose once again, and they after the second lightning was brought down, or so did that happen. I love the use of Denki. Denki was the big lightning rod, but of course he got fried, or he blew out, I guess, and so he's in that yay mode. So great use of him, really funny, and he's like he's such a player. He's such a important team player, and I just love the fact that how they use these characters. I think that's like the big highlight of this movie is just how they utilize the students. I forgot to say that in the review, but anyway. Um, and so comes I guess like the next thing happens is the most questionable part, but not before like they Nine is like really close to the kids now, like his target, and he like slowly walks over to them, of course, because it's an anime or movie. He just doesn't run towards them. I mean, I guess his body is degenerating, so that's why. I don't know. But anywho, his sister, or the Kazuma's sister, forgive me for forgetting her name. What was it? It was. It starts with an H. I'm terrible with names. Forgive me, but the older sister steps up to him, tries to do something, but grabs hold of her, makes her his hostage, and into bribing Katsuma to, to give him his powers, so that way now he can regenerate for sure. But then, like, I don't know, like it just, well, I'm gonna get to that in a bit. But anyway, it was a really funny scene where Katsuma stands up against Nine, and he runs, right? But the way they like shot this, it was just so funny, or animated this, it was just so funny. He like runs, but his arms like just flail around like I don't want to say like he runs like a girl, but he runs like a girl. And I mean I understand he's a kid, obviously he's scared and stuff, but it just looked really funny, and it like went on for a pretty long time, and people were laughing too. So I think I'm not the only one who thought this. Like, it was unintentionally funny. Like, this was supposed to be serious, but people were laughing, dude, in the theater. And by the way, the theater was packed too. It was a full house almost, and people were laughing, man. There were like a lot of like questionable things, and this was like, I guess one of them. Like, people were laughing at this. Oh, I guess the little sister's name is Mahoto. I just found the name. It didn't start with an H. It had an H in it. God damn it! It was Mahoto, who was the older sister. So he runs towards them, and seemed like Nine was gonna snatch him, but Deku kicks him in the face real good and launches him off to the side, and they had a moment together, but then and then Bakugo came in too, right? But then now Nine, he resorts to him like using the canisters on his back, I guess, and so I don't know, like that whole part seemed the whole need for the cells regenerating seem a little more meaningless or pointless, because he just keeps going. It's like, how long is it gonna take for him to die from the whole cell degenerating thing? I don't know. I guess by the end of it he would die, sure, but I guess at that point he didn't care. So he rises up, he's all powered up and stuff, and he kicks up this powerful tornado with all his flames and whatever, and they try to fight it, but they can't. And so it comes to the point where all seems lost and stuff like that, and there was sort of like a Deus Ex Machina moment with Katsuma saying like, you can't lose, or don't lose, don't die, or whatever. And Deku had this crazy idea, which comes the most questionable thing I've ever seen so far for My Hero Academia, and it's the use of his one for all power. So first off, he transferred it over to Bakugo, and there's this whole long moment of like them reaching, and there's like like Bakugo, and then the other one's like and this is like so much material for like memes and like fan fiction for the yaois and stuff like that with Deku and Bakugo, man. Like, oh my gosh. Not complaining about it too much. I think it's just funny, and it went on for a good amount of time for this one part, and then comes together. And when it happened, I was just like, what? And people were had very similar reactions. It's like, what? They weren't like, whoa, this is so sick or anything like that. They were just like, it was more of like questioning for the movie. I just like was just like, I had mixed feelings. I kind of on one side, this was kind of cool, but on the other, I was just like, really, you're gonna do it here? This is the second movie in. This is not, and we haven't even like reached deep into My Hero Academia or anything like that. Like for the anime anyway. The manga is like getting nutso, man. But anyway, they pull out that card. That's where I realized like this is way too early for that kind of moment. So I just felt like that was, man, they burned that card real quick. That trump card is now done, and especially with like the where it ended up, right? But before I get to that, there was that moment where Deku and Bakugo, after the transfer happened, I think they split with the powers, right? With All for One, but Deku implied that he transferred all of his powers to Bakugo because I guess he's like, the right person. He's like in better condition than Deku is. I don't know. But anyways, from what I saw, it looked like he just split his powers and stuff like that with Bakugo. And so like there's two one for alls for that moment. And then they even like reach to like that Super Saiyan sort of state, like or Ultra Instinct, I should say, at the since that's like the most recent powerful form from Dragon Ball. Deku has his Ultra Instinct form, like even had like his eyes are different a little bit, like it has a little effect. And then Bakugo was powered up as well. He looked more of like a Super Saiyan than anything because he had like orangish blonde hair or whatever. Like he had the orange color going on. Deku was bluish, so the contrast, right? The magic contrast. That happened. And this is where I get so disappointed too, because while the fight itself with these two was cool and all, it looked cool, but then like for some reason they let the music play out, for this long, and they muted the entire sound, like the sound effects and stuff like that. There's no like or anything like that. It's just muted. It was completely muted. They let the music do all the talking and all the sound effects and stuff like that. It's supposed to be like a epic moment, like with just no sound, just music, right? And that was like. But unfortunately, that was like most of that part of the fight. So I was like, what? How long are they going to do this for? It was like most of the fight. And I was like, what the hell? Like people were like, there was dead silence. And the only thing you hear is the music. And I mean, the music was great and all, but the moment was just ruined because of the lack of sound. I was like, what is this? And on top of the fact that the quality wasn't there either, like it, I mean, if this was a TV episode, the quality is great in that sense, but if you're comparing it to like the first movie, and if you're going to put this on the movie pedestal, it's just kind of whatever. There's a lot of effects going on, sure, in your face, but once you really break it down, the quality, man, it just wasn't there, man. Like the impact on me was weaker in comparison to the overall impact of that final battle from the first movie. I believe it was called Two Heroes, right, for the first movie. But man. And so yes, they beat the bad guy, right? And he's gone. and then like came, of course the reinforcements come, like all the teachers and stuff like that, the pro heroes come and pick gave them the pickup and stuff like that, a pick me up, if you will. They come in and they provide them the aid or whatever. But anyway, when All Might came in, or I believe his name is Toshiagi. But All Might came in and he found out what Deku did, right? But then they had this weird explanation where, but because Bakugo didn't completely was able to take in all one for all because he fell unconscious or something like that. Deku therefore has still all for one for some reason, and of course all the miracle and stuff like that. It's just like, I don't know. It just felt cheap, and it just felt like that whole thing was pointless. And now that because they burned that entire card, they can't use it for the manga. That could have been really cool. It could have been potentially really cool for that final moment in the manga or whatever, right? In the actual canon storyline. No, and of course, we don't even know if this is canon or not. Usually these movies they don't really feel, or they're not supposed to be canon. At least for a lot of anime movies anyway, right? From shonen franchises. Especially for like One Piece, Dragon Ball, and all that stuff. But anyway, we don't know, I guess. But in case it was, Deku still has his power. And there was supposed to be this whole tension of Deku at this moment not being the successor anymore of All for One. But he's the successor again because they just pull out something out of their ass and Bakugo is back to Bakugo, you know what I mean? And his arm's so fucked up, unfortunately, but it is what it is, I guess. And in the end, that's pretty much it. They leave the island. The program or whatever was suspended for now, and they leave the island, and that's it. And the very final moment of Katsuma smiling and stuff like that, he does this sound, right? So many anime characters do in those kind of moments. When that happened, it was just it was pretty long, and then he did the sound, and then people just laughed. They all they just tried to hold it in their laugh or something like that. That I heard that in the theater. I was like, what the fuck? Is that how you're gonna end it? All right, fine. That's how you end it. That's the end of it. No after credits or anything like that. There was some in between with Shimura with meeting up with Nine, and Nine is just like, there can only be one, and or Tomura, excuse me, Tomura, I think he's like, you're right. There can only be one, and he just dissolves him. He's gone. Nine is no more. Oh damn. Poor poor Nine. Poor Nine. May he rest in peace. But overall, Nine was just like a all for one sort of clone, to me anyway. And all right, he's gone. These movies kill off the villain. A lot of movies tend to kill off the villain, unfortunately. And the anime movies are no exception to that kind of concept. So Nine is gone, and Tomura is still, he's on the uprise, man. The villains, they've been picking some shit up, because the stuff that happens in the manga, the whole meta liberation arc was nutso, and the stuff happening around it, crazy. But anyway, so yeah, that's how the movie ends, and that's pretty much it for the spoiler portion of things. That's it. Pretty basic story flow, I guess. It was a little more interesting in some parts than the first movie. I'll give it that. And I love the way they utilize the characters. So that's a highlight for that. But overall, as a movie experience, it just come off a little weaker in my opinion. It just doesn't hold the same candle up as the first movie, Two Heroes. Only because of the quality of the animation, especially for the final battle. It was so like, it was crazy, man. The sound, the animation, the overall, just the moments, man. It was so cool. And Heroes Rising just did not rise up to that occasion, unfortunately. Terrible pun, I know, but that's just how it is. Well, it's still, people are gonna still like it. It's not terrible. It's just I guess my expectations were a little too high, and but there you go. At least it's performing pretty well here, and that's, I mean, I'm happy with that. I do like the series, and I do like what's going on in the manga. Like I said, it's nuts though. It's crazy, and a lot of revelations and all that stuff. It's just like, bam, ugh, and especially with Hawks. Oh man, I love Hawks. Great character. I can't wait to see where his thing goes. So I'm looking forward to more of My Hero Academia. Hopefully next time the movie, whenever they come out with another movie, which is likely, they'll up the quality. I don't know. Hopefully the quality is better for the third one. Maybe it'll be the movie right before the final battle, or maybe to like wrap up the final battle of the canon storyline. I don't know. That'll be interesting. But anyway, that's all I gotta say now for realsies. It's still a 7 out of 10. It's still like, it's a good experience, but not like the best one in my opinion when it comes to anime movies. One of the weaker ones for My Hero Academia, I guess, out of the two anyway. I still like the first one better overall. I just love the final battle in the first one. Oh, that was so sick. But that's just me. If you guys like it or anything like that, if you want to talk about the more of the movie, comments down below. Those are welcome. Don't forget to like hit the like and subscribe, and check out all the social media stuff, including Twitter, Twitch. I'll try to do my best to stream more, but I'm on Twitter for sure. So if you want to follow me there, all that information is in the description. And there you have it. So this is my review plus the spoiler section for My Hero Academia Heroes Rising. Hopefully the next one will be good. Hopefully I'll pick things up for the third one. But until then, I'll see you guys in the next video. Thank you so much. Sean out.